This episode is going to be a little different. I'm here with the Holcomb family at one of their gatherings. I came to record some stories from an old friend of the family, Willard. He has Alzheimer's, so his family is here to help him out, as well as share a few stories and memories of their own. Willard, do you remember anything about my great-grandfather Vernon? Like when he bought that car, the Plymouth?
Well, he didn't want to drive it home, see? And I didn't want to drive it home either. I never drove it or anything. And then when I got it out on the road, why, there was no fuel in it.
Oh, dear.
So I drove down to their
Station.
where there was a station, and I stopped and I got fuel and put it in the automatic part. And holy cats, you talk about anybody. Well, he didn't know he'd been out of fuel.
My car,
Yeah.
Had no gas in it.
Oh man, he was mad.
empty tank.
He spit 10-gallon nails.
What about when you guys would farm together?
Well, he had the farm, and I just went over there to help him
Rented. You rented.
or rent him. Yeah, rented, and ran the barn for sheep, and well, anyway, he was the best guy in this world to be around. He just was nothing but love and
He was easygoing, so easygoing.
he'd keep you going if you didn't have any fuel.
Yeah, he was so easygoing. Sweet.
In today's world, everybody likes to drink Starbucks coffee, Caribou coffee, some kind of expensive coffee, and all kinds of fancy drinks, and that they spend $4, $5, $6, $7 each on. And but when Vernon Kilgore was alive, he didn't drink expensive coffee. What he liked was Folgers instant coffee. And what he liked even more was he'd take those little jars of Folgers crystals, and when he emptied one, I don't even know if he rinsed it out. He might have. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's say he did. And then, but he'd put whatever spoons full of crystals in out of another full jar and fill it with water and shake it up. And then he put them everywhere out on the farm. They were in the machine shed. They were in the barn. They were in the toolbox of those two little Ford tractors. There was one in his car. And everywhere he went, he could just take the lid off one of them. He'd just take a swallow or two and put the cap back on. And they were all over the farm. They were everywhere.
Good hint for you.
Don't need expensive coffee.
No.
Folgers aged coffee. It was, yeah.
Do you remember anything about the war effort in World War II?
Well, you were drafted. You were in. You had to go for a physical.
Yeah, I had to go to Milwaukee for a physical. Well, Leonard Olson and I went for that physical, and then they had a dance.
Ooh.
And so we went to the dance, and then we didn't like the dance, so we went home and went to bed. And that was a pole type thing. It was,
The bed that folded into the wall.
yeah,
And when the other guys got back, they folded you up in the wall, didn't they?
yeah. So we woke up in the morning and we were in the wall.
You probably woke up when they got home.
Murphy bed?
But he didn't pass because he's colorblind.
Really? Oh, I thought that that was about the time that Gramp got attacked by that bull.
Yeah.
What happened that time, Dad? You had a bull. Did he have a ring in his nose?
Oh, he must have had. My dad didn't have any bulls that didn't have a ring in the nose.
But it attacked your dad in the barnyard.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, well, that attacked him, but of course, he knew what to do. He called that dog, and the dog come over there, and that bull just, I didn't mean it. I did.
No, but didn't you say that the cows stayed right around the bull?
Yeah, they was protecting the bull.
But Alvin got a hold of the ring and was able to climb up over the fence. And then he went in and he fed the cows, let the cows in, went to the house. They called the doctor and he had broken ribs and
Collarbone.
yeah.
Well, never know what happened to Dennis Churchill.
Yeah.
Why, what happened to him?
Well, he got
Okay.
killed by a bull.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Well, gee whiz and crackers. We ain't going to find out anything about that.
No. Do you remember Harry Kelly?
Very much. He was on my left hand all the time.
Now there was a pure Irishman.
Yeah, that's for sure.
He would. I'd look out in the morning for breakfast, and he'd be there. He wanted, he'd come in and have breakfast.
But he didn't like the toast burnt.
No, he did like
Or he did like it burnt.
Be Jesus, burn it! Don't warm it up.
That's just the way he said it, too.
Jesus.
And then he was killed in our woods. They were cutting down trees, and the tree was going down.
He ran out till he got underneath it, and a tree hit him and killed him.
But he had been to our place for dinner, and he loved salt. And I forgot to put the salt shaker on.
Uh-oh.
And he said, Jesus, where's the salt? What do you think I am, a camel?
She lost it.
Oh, God.
It was funny.
But then when they took him to the hospital after the tree, he said, "Don't cut my coat."
No, be Jesus, who's going to buy me a new coat?
Who's going to cut his coat off? He was worried about his coat, and he
gosh.
died.
I remember the time that Scott was sitting on his lap, got his watch open, and
They spit in it.
These goddamn modern kids.
Modern kids.
Ronnie, would you tell the story about when the 4-H club came to visit you on the farm? I've heard this story lots of times. Do you remember which one I'm talking about?
no, I don't remember.
You had the 4-H kids. This is how I hear it. The 4-H kids over to learn about farming if they wanted to become a farmer. And what you did was this is the the barn and the cows, and you go, well, hold on a second. Across the room, you walk over and you pick up a piece off this cow pie, and you stuck it in your mouth. And what it was a piece of chewing tobacco that you had set down, and one kid keeled over just about straighter than a board.
That's not true. That doesn't sound like something I would do.
Oh, yeah, it does. It's got all the trademarks. And, yeah, that's the way I heard it, though.
I don't think that's true. Who told you that story?
I'm not at liberty to say.
Oh.
Bert, do you remember that little motorcycle you used to have, the little Honda, the orange one? Well, we always I remember me and Logan thought that was the coolest thing ever. And you always didn't want us anywhere near that thing for fear it'd tip over on us. But I remember one time Benji hopped on that thing and tore our ass out of here and was riding around up in here in the yard, and off he takes down the hill and he pops a wheelie, and over the motorcycle goes, and down he goes. And he looks around and he's looking for and I was the only one. I was up here laughing. And he bent a bunch of stuff on the motorcycle, and he pushed that thing in there so dang fast and hid that bike before anybody could see. I still think about that.
You got to tell the story about the origins of the tow bird.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the tow bird.
Who's got the tow bird?
I got the tow bird.
You got it?
I've got it, yeah.
What about them ugly ass boots you bought my mom for Christmas?
Odell,
Chewbacca boots.
We would draw names when we would always draw names between brothers and sisters, and if Odell got your name, then you got a piece of art that was drawn by her, and it was always a good one. Well, when she turned 50, wasn't it? 50, yeah, it was 50. Then I thought, well, I'm going to make her a piece of art for her 50th birthday. So I started saving up toenail clippings from me and girls and putting them in a jar, and then I whittled out a little bird, and then I hot glued all them toenails on there. Yeah, Grandpa lost a big toenail. It was the crown on his head. And that became Tobert. So I gave that to Odell for her 50th birthday, and then she gave it to David, and then it went to Laura and Kay, and
You didn't get to hear her reaction though when she got that thing.
no, I didn't.
No, she was mortified. She didn't.
She didn't know what it was,
I
huh?
remember a scream and a
She looked at it a while and then figured it out.
yeah. You remember them boots you bought her?
Yeah, at the garage
Those
sale.
were the best damn winter boots.
I bet they were warm.
Could have bought. I don't know why she ever got rid of them things.
I don't either. So they were going to have an auction at the school down here. And so I went and grabbed Dennis Wood, and I said, let's go down to that auction. So we go down there, and they had all these marching drums. And they started the bidding, and we went back and forth. We bought all of them for $15. And then drums. And so we went down to Spring Valley and went into one of the bars there, and we put them drums on. We told them we were going to keep playing until they gave us a free beer. And they gave us a beer. And then we took them back and we put them in his attic. And they sat there a couple years. And then Dave Hansen and I were down at El Paso, and they were going to have the first El Paso days. And they were going to have a parade. So I said, well, if they're going to have an El Paso days, they need an El Paso marching band. So I said, let's go get them drums and march through that parade. And so there was about 7 of us, I guess, that first year. And we marched through there, and we sang Doo-Wah-Diddy and played a little drum. And then they saw us in Spring Valley, and they wanted us to march there. And then they saw us here, and they wanted us to march. And then they started paying us. And by the time I left here, that we had a 60-passenger bus, and we had like 50, 60 people showing up each time to march. So that's how the marching band got started. They marched UFO. They're marching today in Red Wing. They wanted me to come.
It was crazy down there.
Yeah.
I wonder where all the people were coming from.
They're coming to see the El Paso
15 minutes to
marching
get
band.
through. It was the El Paso marching band.
Yeah, exactly.
What was that story, Ronnie, that you're saying about my Uncle Dale? About
About the time he watched the Tarzan movie, and then he went up in the hay mound, and there was 2 beams across and a rope in the middle. So he thought, sure, he could jump and grab that rope and swing over to the other side. But down he went and broke both arms. So he spent the summer 2 casts, cast on each arm. So that same summer that he had them casts on, I had the bee, and Scott and I, he had the bee, and he had that Ford. And we made a trail up in that woods where you boys made your trails. And then we built a fort up there out of branches and trees. And we camped back there, had a campfire. And, well, Dale had the crap, so he went off in the woods and he wiped with poison ivy. So he had 2 casts and an itchy ass.
There's not enough friends in the world to do that for you.
Maybe Nettles. Maybe it was Nettles. I don't remember, but he was hurting. Well, we sure had a good laugh. It was good laughs for the rest of us.
That poor kid couldn't get over that for 5 years.
No, it took a while. It took a while.
My dad gave me $1 or something to go and get tobacco. He chewed, I think, Plowboy or something. So I went to Olivet and I spent it all on candy. I didn't buy any tobacco.
No, that's a better story than
Yeah, not too good. No.
Do you know where Olivet is?
yeah.
Do you? Yeah. Well, he lived there.
Many years ago, I'll tell you. Wow.
we'd go down there and buy she always had them little yellow gloves,
Yeah.
Canvas gloves.
a whole bunch of them, and you could get a pair of them for Christmas,
Do your Christmas shopping and all that?
Oh, yeah,
sure.
that's what they did. Him
Whoa.
and Dan did their Christmas shopping at Olivet.
Well,
Yep.
it couldn't be. It was good stuff, and it was fun.
Boy, all the country changed, huh?
A little bit.
Wow.
A little bit.
They say that these little towns are nothing there where they can't compete, Your hardware, they all got big like Menard.
Well, yeah.
Grocery stores are all big, you know.
Yeah.
Oil stations, everything gotten big.
And that
Buy
was.
anything online. You don't even have to go to the store anymore.
I know it.
You should tell the story about the beginnings of the UFO days.
Well, that's a whole nother series.
You don't know anything about the UFOs? Oh, for heaven's sake, where have you been?
Still on her.
Yeah, you've been where you lived.
Well, there's many people that think they have seen, well, believe they've seen it, and I believe them too.
Really?
Yeah,
Yes,
some
I
pretty
do.
reliable people, weren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they wouldn't lie.
No.
No, they wouldn't lie.
Oh, where do you start?
George Wheeler.
George?
Cops.
Hobbs Wilson.
Hobbs Wilson. What the only one that had me sort of maybe believe was the George Wheeler was the town policeman. And he was up here, and then his squad car wouldn't start after that.
Yeah.
And Rick Garfield towed the car down to Filer's garage here, and he pulled the spark plugs out, and all the spark plugs were welded.
Electrode.
The electrode was welded to the deal. And he said he'd never seen that before.
They came around and they wanted,
I said, did you save him?
No.
No, threw him away.
he didn't want to admit.
Yeah, he didn't want to.
He didn't want to admit that he found out what made it go.
Yeah. And then there was the Forrester girl.
Bud Forster's wife, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What'd she do?
Not Wheeler, Weber.
She saw something, scared her,
Yeah.
right in front of her.
Oh, yeah.
That was down by O'Galley.
Yeah. Whatever it was.
Kids were scared to death.
How about the storm tornado of 83? Do you remember what you were doing then?
Yeah, I was going to back up and go into Larry Filer's, which is just this side of the bridge. And a good thing I didn't, because 13 trees went down in his yard. And while I was sitting there, I thought, I wonder if the wind had picked this up and land me in the river.
Well, that would be bad because you
I
couldn't
know,
swim.
I know.
Bertie never
It would've
could
been
swim.
terrible.
I wanted to teach her. No, I don't want to know.
Well, then I started out when it let up a little, and I got as far as Cronards, and I thought, oh, isn't that too bad? Their barn went down. And then I got over to Hartong's, and I thought, well, I'm going in there. And I burst through the door, and she says, holy moly, Godfrey, I thought it was a ghost. Because every window was out of that house.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
So then, I don't know, I guess Craig Churchill cleared out a lot of the trees that were gone down on the road so I could get home. Well, then we got home, why, every building was damaged, so it was not good. Not pretty.
Well, I think we should go get some pie.